Hi, good morning. This is Lindsay here from myMindBodyBaby, and we'd like to thank Fertility Matters Canada for inviting us to kick off Canadian Infertility Awareness Week, a topic near and dear to both Michelle and my heart. And I found it fitting this morning. I had a bath, and in my little aromatherapy bath it said, "Awareness is the greatest agent for change." And I thought that very fitting as we talk about infertility awareness and ways to help those struggling with infertility right now. And the topic for today is taking back control during infertility. And so Michelle and I are going to share, some of the struggles that we had during infertility and the ways that we felt a loss of control. And we've spoken to so many women since we launched myMindBodyBaby. And the lack of control in the different areas of their lives is really a significant impact on their journey to growing their family. So we'll talk a little bit about what other women have shared with us, and then some tactics that they found have helped them and we found have helped us. So I will pass it over to Michelle in a second. Both Michelle and I struggled for years to grow our families. Like many of you, we attended multiple appointments at clinics and went through all the testing, various rounds of failed IUI, failed IVF, miscarriages, until we finally welcomed our son, my husband and I, in July of 2016. We now have two beautiful boys. And I'll pass it over to Michelle and she can share a little bit about her journey.
Hey everyone, I'm Michelle and I'm the resident nutritionist here at myMindBodyBaby. And like Lindsay said, we launched a little over a year ago to help support women who are going through a similar journey that Lindsay and I both went through. My journey lasted about 2 years. A lot of appointments, as probably a lot of being poked and prodded, a lot of information that felt very overwhelming, failed IUIs, ended up going to the IVF route, and we did conceive through our one embryo that we had. Unfortunately, that embryo moved and it became ectopic. I had emergency life-saving surgery because they said it was very, very close to remove that tube and of course that chemical pregnancy. And I ended up coming out of that feeling very, very even more a sense of lack of control. Like, okay, I couldn't get pregnant and now I only have one tube, and all of a sudden I'm in this situation where my chances are even less. And it ended up working out at the end. We had 2 spontaneous pregnancies, and I have now 2 kids, which is unbelievable. But Lindsay and I launched this understanding fully what it takes to be in someone else's shoes and what we need, the experience that we've went through and our backgrounds in, for me, nutrition, and Lindsay in fitness. We felt we could really make a difference. So we want to talk to you a little bit about that lack of control. And for me, that lack of control really felt like an overwhelm. Like I had too many things on my plate to understand. I was running my own business for nutrition. I had a lot of information that was coming at me from, different doctors, different naturopathic doctors, acupuncturists, and I felt like I couldn't piece it all together. It felt like very scattered and all over. Like I was getting a little bit here and dribs and drabs. And I really felt that emotional pull for me was the lack of control. Like I just really couldn't get my mind square. And then of course you're tired from the appointments and then from just generally being tired from the emotional aspect of it all. And there's a lot of different elements of control or lack of control that people can feel. I know Lindsay felt a different sense of lack of control, but that was for me, the biggest one was just I just didn't have my emotions in check, despite actually going through acupuncture to help calm myself down, and I was on natural support to kind of help calm my mind down. But yeah, that lack of control with the emotions was a big one for me. Lindsay, what about you?
Yeah, I don't do well with a lack of control in general. I like things planned and organized, and everything about this was not planned and not organized, and I felt like I had no control over the timelines of my life, my body anymore, my emotions. And, my husband and I had to go to doctors and talk about things that we didn't want to talk about. And it just was not part of my plan for life. And I really struggled with that. And one of the ways that I have always used as a stress relief mechanism is exercise. And then during fertility treatments, I was told, like, don't run, don't move, just do your injections, and then we'll get through this. And I struggled with that because to me, that was a great outlet for me. And I also struggled with the lack of, I guess, awareness that is out there. I didn't know what to expect going through the journey. I don't like to approach situations that I don't know what to expect. And so the second time we went through IVF, at least I felt slightly more in control because I had gone through it before. And that's one of the ways that Michelle and I strive to help support couples struggling with infertility, is to provide more information and awareness about what to expect. So, okay, you can't get pregnant. Now what? What does it mean if you're going to see your primary physician about not being able to get pregnant? What does it mean if you're referred to a clinic? And so the different ways of managing your situation can help people feel more in control of the situation. And that's a topic Michelle and I have talked about a lot. There's not a one size fits all approach to kind of finding your way through this infertility journey. It looks different for everybody. So it looks different for Michelle, it looked different for me, it looks different for you. And especially during this current situation where, you already feel not in control of your life, your body, your ability to grow your family. And now the clinics are shut down. You may have been waiting for a cycle to, proceed with an IUI or an IVF or just start your cycle monitoring. And now everything's put on hold. So we really feel for everybody right now whose clinic is shut down. And so we're hoping just to talk a little bit today. And please, if anybody has any questions or wants to join in with anything, but just about ways that you can identify the areas that, in taking back a little bit of control, may help you feel a little better, a little more at peace, a little bit calmer as you progress through your own journey. And so there's different topics that we talk about in a lot of our articles or in our programs. The main ones are mindfulness, nutrition, and exercise. But as Michelle and I have discussed, that just sounds so, obvious or boring, or you've heard it all before and like, okay, whatever, I'll go for a walk, or sure, I'll do some meditation. But we don't think that it has to look like, a 30-minute walk or locking yourself in a dark room with a candle for 30 minutes. And so we thought we could talk about a couple different tactics that might work for you to explore what personally works for you to feel a little bit better. I recently had a conversation with somebody really close to me who's struggling to grow their family right now. And she had just had her third failed embryo transfer. And we talked about what it looks like to find ways to take back a little control. So she has a couple embryos left, which is wonderful. We're currently in the middle of a very unprecedented situation, so that already feels out of control. But what could she do so that going into her next round, it doesn't just feel like, okay, we're going to try the same thing over again and hope for a different response? And, meditation has worked for her, and positive affirmations. So we talked a little bit about that, but then also some other tactics like, well, is there anything that we could change in terms of medication? Can I talk to my doctor about an ERA test? Can I look at changing the schedule of our medication? Is there anything different that I can do so that I feel like I'm taking back a little bit of control, but that the next time we go into this cycle, it doesn't just feel like the same old and I'm crossing my fingers and hoping that this time is going to be a bit better. So that's one way that for her, it made sense to explore, because it might feel like she has a little bit of more control over the situation.
And I think that makes sense from a nutrition standpoint as well. I mean, we've all heard, oh, don't eat gluten, don't eat dairy. Like those things are played out. We've heard them a million times. And for some people that is a real thing, and you shouldn't be eating those things. But for other people, a little bit here and there isn't going to make a difference. But I think it matters about what you can do, what little things you can do in your life to to feel like Lindsay said, feel like you're taking back control from a food standpoint, because we do know food makes a difference. You know, it makes a difference on your energy levels. It makes a difference in how you sleep. It makes a difference in motivation, in sex drive. It makes a difference in your hormones, blood sugars. It makes a huge difference. So yes, food makes a difference. So what can we do that doesn't seem A, overwhelming, or B, extreme, or too like, you don't want to necessarily go with the fad just because it's a fad. Like, what can we do that for you makes a lot of sense? So, you know, for some people, this might be you're just literally stopping drinking pop for forever, or for a month, or for 3 months, or even a week. Start with a day. Like, what is different that you can start today that gives you that sense that, you know what, I'm doing something to work towards my goal of prepping my body as best as I can right now while my fertility clinic is closed, or, you know, not everybody's is closed, but I think a lot of them are closed. What can I do right now to make sure that I'm doing everything I can do that feels good and doesn't feel overwhelming right now? And so, like I said, this could be reducing pop. This could be, you know, adding an extra green vegetable a day. This could be, you know, maybe you're eating too much, or, you know, maybe you're not eating enough food. So, you know, our programs really do speak to this information. They provide meal plans, they provide grocery lists, they provide all the information you need in order to actually eat properly. But maybe you're not there. Maybe everything just feels too chaotic and too overwhelming right now, that the little things really will make a big difference when you add them up. Right now we have a change challenge that we have initiated in our Facebook group. Our Facebook group is called Infertility Support, Nutrition, Fitness, and Mental Health. And we're doing a 7-day change challenge to bring awareness to the fact that little changes added up can make a big difference. And we're doing it sort of in conjunction with the Canadian Infertility Awareness Week. So if you want to join that, it starts today. And it is small, tangible things you can do every single day that are going to help you from a physical standpoint and emotional standpoint to kind of take back some control, feel like you're doing something positive for your body while you wait for clinics to open, or whatever the situation is that you're waiting for.
And that was one of the big areas for me was, okay, you know, I felt like I was doing something active towards furthering our goal when I would, you know, take one of the pills or do one of the injections. And then the rest of the time I was like, what else can I be doing to help support our goal of growing our family? And so, like Michelle said, just trying to make little changes felt to me that I was doing something productive, positive, productive with my time, with our energy. I remember my husband and I looked up this kind of trail mix recipe for him that we coined nuts for nuts, seeds for seeds, berries for berries. And Michelle actually wrote an article about, you know, food in general that is beneficial to help support male infertility. But we had unexplained infertility. We didn't know. So we were kind of like throwing everything at it. And so we had this dark chocolate, walnut, pumpkin seed, goji berry trail mix that he would bring to work every day. And did it make a difference? I don't know, but it felt, you know, positive. It was delicious. And, you know, he felt like he was doing something positive to support our goal. So it's just finding little things that help you to feel like you're moving the needle forward. You're doing something positive instead of, you know, what often happens with all of us is, you know, sitting on the couch and crying. So just, you know, finding other ways that you can direct your energy in a positive format can often help you to feel a little bit better. And I spoke with a lot of doctors and nurses during our journey about, you know, how I could continue to move and exercise in a safe way. And in speaking now with the doctors and nurses, coming through the other side of things, there's a lot of research on the benefits of keeping moving throughout your trying to conceive period, and even during your fertility treatments. But it's just understanding how you can do it safely. So no, you're not going to go for, you know, a 5-kilometer jog the day before your egg retrieval, but there are still ways that if moving and exercise is for you a way to release some of the stress or to harness some of your positive energy, that you can. So we have put together a free program called the Fertility Fundamentals, and it goes through all of the basics in terms of nutrition, exercise, and some mental well-being tips. And it's kind of a way to not overload women with information, but they can look through it and say, oh, I think that would work for me, or that makes sense for me. I'm not going to try this, but yeah, I could do positive visualizations. I don't think I could lie there for 30 minutes and meditate, but I could go through the positive actions that I'm taking in my mind and repeat them to myself as a little mantra every morning. And to me, that feels like I'm doing something positive. So that's one area that if you're looking kind of just to explore options for taking back some control, you can test out some of the ideas in that little guide that you can download.
And going back to, nutrition, because nutrition is a big part of that fundamentals package that Lindsay was talking about. There's a lot of people that message us asking us, well, do I eat keto? Do I eat paleo? Do I eat Mediterranean? Like, what is the best way for me to eat? So that package actually will give you a little bit of a sense of how to eat from my perspective, but also from a research perspective. Everything that we speak to our community about, or we put programs together about, are all based on research. And a lot of that research is on our website. So if you are interested in that, definitely check it out. But we promote a Mediterranean style way of eating. So, even if you're sitting here today going like, I don't even know where to start, where to eat. Well, of course, join the Change Challenge, because that's easy. I will direct you on easy ways to start. But at the very least, look up the Mediterranean diet and take a look at what it entails. It's not extreme. It's not restrictive. It's not based on fads. It's based on whole foods that are found in our grocery stores, which, albeit, are
most of the time
are riddled with lines right now, and people with masks and gloves. However, I was in a grocery store yesterday and everything was there that I needed, and everything on the Mediterranean plan would be there. So that's how we promote eating, which is, like I said, not extreme and not restrictive. So if you're looking for one sort of tidbit other than everything else I've said, that would be one thing that you can look into from a small change perspective. Just look it up and see what it entails.
I'm not sure, Carolyn, if there are any questions at this point.
Sorry, everybody. No, we don't have any questions that have come in, but if anybody on here has any questions, please feel free to use the chat option, or if you'd like to unmute yourself and ask, that's fine as well.
And if, what we found is a lot of people don't like to ask questions on this topic in front of others. So if there was anything pertaining to anything that we've spoken about today, you can always send us a direct message on Instagram or join our private Facebook group, which, by the way, nobody else can see if you join the group. You can do settings so you can join and no one will know that you're part of it. We have a whole ton of women on there that support each other and cheer each other on, after each cycle or IVF retrieval. Or you can send us an email at hello@myMindBodyBaby.com. And then any of the information that we've talked about today, so the Fertility Fundamentals, that free guide, or any of those articles, the Nuts for Nuts recipe or anything like that, are on our website, which is www.myMindBodyBaby.com.
Lindsay, while we're hanging out here for a minute, from a fitness perspective, do you want to give everybody like a little sense of what kind of things from a fitness perspective would be safe? And I know, people are in different stages when they're in fertility treatment, but let's assume that most people are paused their treatments. What kind of things can they do that are safe, that are fertility friendly, and that isn't overwhelming? Give us a sense of what a week might look like for you, or for them.
Yeah, especially now if you're not going through fertility treatments and you're not taking any other medication to stimulate your ovaries. If you're starting out as not being really much of an exerciser, even just getting outside on the days that we are finally blessed with a little bit of sun, doing a nice walk. On our Instagram page, we have a bunch of different 10, 15, 20-minute little exercise routines, I guess, that you can do without weights, without equipment, just with your body. So you can test out any of those. Because your ovaries likely aren't being stimulated at this point, it opens it up a little bit more because you don't need to be as concerned about ovarian torsion. And so, you know, if you like to go for a run, go for a run right now. You can do those jumping jacks. If you're a low impact person, there's a bunch of ideas in some of our posts. You know, you can do 10 squats, 10 jumping jacks, 10 push-ups, and 10 mountain climbers, and repeat that 3 times with a nice warm up and cool down. And, you know, all of a sudden your endorphins are pumping, your heart rate's accelerated a little bit. You got that nice oxygen pumping through your body, and you know, there you go. That's 10 minutes that you've got a little bit of a workout in under your belt.
Yeah, and I have to attest that I don't love working out, and I'm very, very open about that in, you know, in my conversations with people. And I really do strive to do 10 or 15 minutes of like a video or that type of workout every day. And then I have a dog who I walk once or twice a day. So I feel good about that structure that I have, which gives me a sense of, I realize that I'm on the other side of the coin now with kids, but I still want to balance my blood sugars, balance my hormones, stay, emotionally sane during COVID. And so that fitness piece does make a big difference, no matter where you are in your journey, I think.
Yeah. And during this time, a lot of people are struggling mentally and with energy and with levels of frustration. And it's amazing what just, getting outside and going for a walk, or, doing something physical and getting your heart rate elevated a little bit, what it can do for your outlook and your emotions and your energy level after that. So
yeah. And like we said, it doesn't have to be 10 minutes is fine. Like if you're not doing anything, 10 minutes is wonderful. It's better than nothing, and it adds up. It really does. So I guess, Carolyn, if there isn't any questions, I don't know if Fertility Matters Canada has any questions. Oh,
there is one.
Yeah.
Are you able to, it flashed, Carolyn.
There you go. Sorry, I didn't know if you saw that come in, but there was one come in, a question that said, any tips for getting motivated to even get up and go for a walk during this difficult time? I think that's a great question.
Yeah. There are points where everybody doesn't have that motivation. And sometimes if I'm feeling really low energy, but I think that a walk or something is going to do it, I just put on my running shoes, go through the steps, don't think about it. Put on your jacket, put on your shoes, and before you can stop yourself, just get out and start walking. That's one way. If, you're just saying that tomorrow I'm going to turn over a new leaf and get moving, put out your exercise clothes the day before, like your shoes, your water bottle, your exercise gear. Before you can think about it, put it on in the morning, and that's putting on your sports bra is half the battle. So sometimes once you're in your gear, that's one less hurdle.
Yeah, I think it's easy to talk yourself out of it, and I'll be the first to attest to that. But I think there's, as much as I think that it's amazing to do all those things that Lindsay said, there was a point in my journey where I couldn't, I had nothing left to give, and going out every day, like for a walk, wasn't my jam. So I think there's a piece of the puzzle where we have to be, nicer to ourselves as well. And, if you do decide you're not going to do that workout today, don't have the guilt, let it go. Just, that's the decision you've made, and move on. Because if you just sit there and dwell about it all day long, you might as well get outside and do that walk. So I think, of course, I'm not trying to just dissuade you from moving, but just make sure that, like, if it is a thing that you're deciding not to do it with, with consciousness and mindfulness, and not without the guilt, without the guilt.
A couple of doctors that we've spoken to recently have said, I truly believe in your program. I think this will be beneficial for a lot of my patients. However, I don't want them to feel that if they haven't ticked everything off of this list, that I'm going to eat broccoli and go for a walk and meditate for 10 minutes, that I'm doing something to harm my chances of getting pregnant. And what we really want to emphasize are test what works for you and explore different tactics to see what feels good and what makes you feel better about yourself and your progress through this journey. but you don't have to do anything. So do what feels right, but nothing that is going to cause further burden or make you feel even more overwhelmed.
Agree.
Another question that's come in, any advice on battling the day or days following getting your period again?
That is always really hard. And even as you said that, I kind of felt that like sinking feeling in my stomach. It was always rough for me the day of, and, I would do something that I wasn't supposed to do if I thought I was pregnant, like have a glass of wine or go for, a really hard run or something that was pregnancy frowned upon. And then
I was just going to say, I would have a glass of wine.
And then I would try to reframe it. Like, okay, well, last cycle we did this and this and this, and clearly that didn't work. So what are we going to do differently this time? And then try to view it as a fresh opportunity, another chance to have great follicle scans, or, even just if we were trying on our own, another chance to, take back a little control, change things up, and just try to view it as a fresh start again. Another 2 weeks until prime ovulation, and then starting all over again.
So for me, that situation looked very different. I mean, Lindsay is like her and I think very differently, which is why we work well together. But for me, that time after when my period arrived and I knew I wasn't pregnant, that was low. Those were low moments. And I do best when I can unload my emotions. I tend to move on quite quickly from things, but I know what I need in order to move on. And I think the key here is, try a bunch of things, because, maybe reframing isn't your thing. And it's wonderful to do that. Maybe a glass of wine isn't your thing. Maybe a run isn't your thing. For me, it was really unloading on people that were close to me, that I could just get those emotions out of my system. And I felt that once I was able to do that, I truly was able to move on. Lindsay was actually my unofficial mentor through my journey. We had been friends prior, and once I knew that she had gone through her journey, and then I was, starting to embark upon mine, I reached out to her, and we got very, very close and have been since. So maybe it's that person that really, truly, truly understands your situation. So maybe you have a friend who you've been able to confide in, or maybe you need to look into finding a type of mentorship that will help you along your journey. We will be announcing in May, but I'll give you a sneak preview. We're partnering up with a company called Fertility, and they actually pair mentor and mentees up together. And I'm a big proponent of this because I found that Lindsay was so integral to my mental health during my journey that we wanted to work with them. But, I think you need to find that person that you can chat with about the situation, when you get bad news, if you get bad news, and unload and get those emotions off your chest. And for me, that was my tool to actually getting through that situation.
And never underestimate the benefit of a good, solid cry.
No, I agree. Any other questions coming through, Carolyn?
That's it. Just a comment that says, love it, great advice to get over those demotivational hurdles.
Yeah,
it's
the whole
process.
Yeah, the whole process can be tough on the emotions. So we 100% feel what everyone else is going through. And actually, you know what? We don't feel it because, we didn't have to go through COVID during our time. So, those who are struggling with infertility now have an even harder battle than we had when we were going through it. So we commend them.
And again, if you need to reach out, commiserate, ask a question, anything, send us a message through any one of those means and we will get back to you.
Absolutely. And if any of the participants follow us on Facebook or on Instagram, we will tag myMindBodyBaby on the video so that you can continue to connect with Lindsay and Michelle. Ladies, thank you so much for your time this morning. Very informative, great information. I know so many people will be able to take advantage of the advice and the help, especially during, this COVID waiting period. A great way for people to maximize their reproductive health while they're waiting for clinics to reopen their doors.
Yeah.
Lovely. So on behalf of the Fertility Matters Canada organization and all of the patients that we support across Canada, thank you, ladies, for your time. And don't forget, Canadian Fertility Awareness runs the 19th to 25th of April. We've got so many live events happening virtually so that you can chime in from the comfort of your own home. We can't wait to see you online. Thank you, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.